Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts coming at you with another video. Today we're going to discuss some of the most basic parts of home gardening. And that's pruning, but not only pruning, but pruning one of those plants that people kind of see as a mystery plant. They might be afraid to prune it. They might not know how to prune it, but just about every yard with a decent landscape is going to have one of these. If you don't recognize it yet, this is a rose bush. And we're going to talk today about rose bush pruning. So one of the things we need to talk about first is what tools to use. So this is a bypass hand pruner. They call it a bypass hand pruner. We'll come up nice and close so that you can see. So this is a bypass hand pruner because the blade bypasses the anvil and it shears the material off when it cuts. This is another tool that you need. This is a pair of loppers well, that's all I know them by is loppers. And it's also a bypass pruner, so it bypasses the anvil when it cuts. What we do want to make sure is that we're not purchasing pruners that use a blade and an anvil down here where the blade makes contact with the anvil, and instead of shearing the material, it actually crushes the material, or the stem. If it crushes the stem, it's going to damage it, and it's going to open it up for disease and other problems. So make sure when we're working, we want bypass pruners. The next thing that we need to know is what are we going to work with first? What are we going to remove first? And then after we remove what's first and necessary, we need to know where we're going from there. So the first thing that we're going to remove is any wood that is old, dead, or dying. So we're going to look at canes that are 2 to 3 years old, even 5 years old if you have a really old bush. And we're going to prune those down as low as we can get them and have them removed from the bush. The next thing that we're going to look for is we're going to try to open up the center of the plant, and we're going to remove any branches that are crossing through the bush. So we don't want them to cross through. We want all of our branches pointing out towards the outside. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to prune for shape, and we're going to cut back, depending on your plant, anywhere to 18 to 24 inches. So this plant here, when we first moved into this home, this was somewhere between 6 and 8 feet high. I think this one might have been the 6 or 7 footer, and the one that's just barely off camera here was well over 8 feet. So this is our second year pruning these to try to get this bush back into a manageable size. You can see that it's right next to a walkway, it's next to a gate, so we need to make sure that it is smaller of size and it is controllable. We also want the blossoms down at a reasonable height, because the whole point of having a rose bush is to enjoy the flowers. So with this, we're going to go ahead and start doing some of that pruning. But let's look at a few other aspects of this so you understand when I'm pruning, why we do that. And we're gonna take kind of a few videos to do this to understand. So let me grab a piece here. See if I can get this off. Probably need the loppers for that. Let me get this older piece off. There we go. And that's why we have the loppers versus the hand pruners. One of the things that we should learn to recognize right off when it comes to our plants is we need to know the difference between live and dead wood. So if you think of roses being a green plant, we want any live wood to be left first and any dead wood to be removed. Okay, so leave the green, remove the brown. After we go through and we do this process, we remove the dead wood, then we can start selecting for size, shape, airflow, things like that. But we want to remove this dead wood first. So those could be second, third year, fifth year canes, whatever it is. Once that bark starts to turn brown and then the new growth is brown, we know this whole thing is dead and it can be removed. Okay. Other things that you're going to need. Some people do prefer to wear gloves. I don't. You'll also need a container like that one over there to throw your waste material in. And then we need to be able to identify parts of our plant. So on our plant, anywhere on a rose bush that there is a leaf that comes off, there's going to be a bud right at the base of that leaf. So this is one of last year's leaves. And the reason they haven't turned completely brown and fallen off is our cold snap was just a few weeks ago. Right down there at the very base of that leaf, there is a little round knob, and that is the